नमस्ते। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जंगमं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानिना तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां अस्य श्री शुद्ध शक्तिमाला महामन्त्रस्य उपस्थ इन्द्रियादिवर्ण आदित्य ऋषिः दैवी गायत्री छन्दः सात्विक तत्कारवट्टारिक पीठस्थित श्रीमत्कामेश्वराङ्कपीठ श्रीमत्कामेश्वरी देवता ऐं बीजं क्लीं शक्तिः सहुते श्रीमत्सिंहासनेश्वरी चिदग्निकुण्ड सम्भूतदैव कार्य समुद्यत औद्यद्भानुशस्त्रभा चतुर्बाहु समन्वित रागस्वरूप पाषाढ्य क्रोधाकराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला मनोरूपेक्षु कोदंड पंच तन्मात्र सायिका निजारुण प्रभापूर मज्जत ब्रह्मांडल मंडल चंपकाशोक पुन्नाग सौगंधिक लसत्कच कुरुविंद मणि श्रेणी कनत कोटीर मंडित अष्टमी चंद्र दलित स्थल श्री मुखचंद्र कलंका मृगनाभ विशेषक वदन स्मर मांगल्य ग्रह तोरण चिल्पि वक्त्रलक्ष्मी पारिभाव चल चलन्निनाभिनवलोचि नवचुंबक पुष्पाभा नासा दंड विराजित ताराकांति तिरस्कारी नासाभरण क्लुप्त कर्णपूर मनोहर रूपेक्षु कोदंड पंच तन्मात्र सायिका निजारुण प्रभापूर मज्जत ब्रह्मांडल मंडल चंपकाशोक पुन्नाग सौगंधिक लसत्कच कुरुविंदमणि श्रेणी कनक कोटीर मंडित अष्टमी चंद्र दलित स्थल मुखचंद्र कलंका मृगनाभ विशेषक वदन स्मर मांगल्य ग्रहतोर prayers to Paraguru, Paraguru, Paraparaguru, Aparaguru, Parameshthi Guru, Paraparameshthi Guru, Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I was speaking in my previous video, the very aspects of Saptaswaras and Pavarga, Chavarga, Tavarga, Yavarga, Tavarga, and 12 steps process, which more or less touches upon 108 karnas and other various aspects and touching upon novel sounds. A, E, I, O, U, A, I, E, U, U, A, I, O, Au, Aha. So now these being the part of the mantra or the shloka or metaphor lines, which gives a meaning in itself and thus creating those vibrations in a way which one needs to understand. Now, let's take the subject much further. After talking about the various aspects of swaras or musical notes and its inferences regards to the very connection to the terrestrial existence, interterrestrial existence, intraterrestrial existence, inter-interterrestrial existence, intra-intraterrestrial existence, inter-intraterrestrial existence, and ultimate terrestrial existence. Now, when I say words, I talk about uni, multi, and omni. Why am I talking about uni, multi, and omni? Why am I not talking about multi here? The reason is universe is ever expansive. And that's how humanoid or human existence body is made. Human existence or human body's anatomy, which one needs to understand by and large. That is the first and foremost point when it comes to Natya Shastra or 108 Karnas when we speak about. That is the first part. Second part of it is Paursheya and Apaursheya. Paursheya being something that is translating the very aspect of science of sound. Breaking the codified and decodified language of the frequency sounds. Okay. Now this Paursheya and Apaursheya both travel together, but one needs to really get to that science of sound deep, which is what one needs to understand. It is not that you just understand at a subliminal level. This is a very key point, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first part. Okay. Now, though, if we see the very existence or understanding of the universe or the words is based on the approximation and to some extent realistic. The reason is number of hours as per earthly existence is 24 hours. But if you really see the terrestrial existence, the number of hours you can't really calculate. The reason is the speed at which this sound travels does not match. For a simple reason that, as I told, it's ever expansive. Words is ever expansive. Be it uni, be it multi, be it open, at a higher level, at a higher state. That is the first point. Time, space, and speed. These three are, you can't assess. That is the reason why I'm telling to an extent. To an extent. And the reason being, the human existence in the earthly existence cannot really get to that highest level or ultimate terrestrial existence at first place. You cannot. You spend around billions and millions, trillions, even more, and create a machine. If you are trying to go, I don't think so anyone can go. That is the first point which I want to say. It is only possible through yoga. That too, when you attain yoga drashta, yoga drushya, yoga maya, yoga mahamaya, when you travel all these Saptarishis have had traveled this distance, and that is the reason why they were able to get this inference in Natya Shastra or 108 Dharana. I am ready to argue on this point with dancing fraternity or dancing gurus. It is not Bharata Mahamuni who has written Natya Shastra. It is a collective effort of Saptarishis. As simple as that. They have translated using Paursheya and Apaursheya aspect the very coding and decodified language of those frequency notes that are existing in the words, which include uni, multi, and if one is ready for a healthy argument, I'm okay for it. Let's go for it. That's a point which I want to talk about. Rest, these Panini and Abhinav Gupta, etc. All of these seers. These were the people who have understood the verses and they have generated those bijaksharas by getting into that yoga drashta, yoga drishya, yoga maya, and yoga. Even for that matter, Shyama Shastri, Dikshitar, Annamaya, to name a few, Purandara Rasa, all of these have had their own penance. So Natya Shastra and 108 Karnas is not only about that dance performance or whatever it is. Primarily, one needs to understand those Saptaswaras and its origin. Saptaswaras and its interconnection to that science of sound, which is what is a very important factor. Let's say like I'm pronouncing sa, sa, ni, 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 a. What am I doing? I'm trying to decipher and decode that language of so-called, that frequency node, and I'm taking that. It is coming from Mooladhara and goes to Sahasrara. That is the first point which I want to talk about. Okay, and this humanoid needs to develop or train its mind at highest conscious levels to get to that state of mind, which is what I tried to explain. And it needs to get to that extraordinary level of state. Why extraordinary level of states? It's a very cryptic language. If I'm talking about old Sanskrit, I don't think so. The present day, what you call classical, whoever classical Sanskrit scholars are understood classical, are understanding classical Sanskrit, they would be able to understand at least what you call point, not 1% of whatever that old Sanskrit was. And this is where Shankaracharya had that edge. We need to be thankful to Shankaracharya or Madhvacharya or Ramanujacharya or various scholars, maybe between first century CE to 10th century CE. And Natya Shastra, if we really look at the original text and the original form of 108 Karanas, it's not as easy as it seems to be, ladies and gentlemen. They were so cryptic and they were to the point. Though, of the population of billion, 99.999% of the population fall under the category of even be able to understand the subject, and only point not 1% of the billion population has understood this subject, who are in the elite list. Someone like Ravana Maharshi, someone like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, someone like those people who have understood that subject. So for a normal human being, it's not as easy as it seems to be, ladies and gentlemen. Again, This elite group comprises of ultimate level of understanding, going beyond the words and alphabets and thinking of level of six-dimensional visionary and that thought which is far beyond the normal. Someone who can get to the level of Sapta Rishis, so-called Great Bear, 7 stars. Is there someone on this earth or on this earthly existence? Even the existing pseudo gurus or gurus, research scholars, also cannot be a part of this. Forget about, like, their prowess or whatever it is. I do not want to, I'm not trying to demean anyone over here, but real subject is such that if one can get to that, that's when Natya Shastra or 108 Karnas can be understood. Yes, the Jagat Gurus and other individuals who have practiced highest level of austerities form this group. Not anyone and everyone. And they don't talk. They don't talk. They don't do anything. They just watch. They speak when it is needed. In fact, I have met one person who was realized soul, who was a scientist in Kerala. It was my luck that I could meet him. He said only one thing: don't try to get into that. It is not for everyone. It is not everybody's piece of cake. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, the complexity or the kind of subject Natya Shastra or 108 are. Now, these so-called Saptarishis, Ashtavasus, Ashtalakshmis are, are the ones who rule whole of the verse. These unlimited suns, Adityas, moons, galaxies, stars, satellites, constellations, and all. And Virata Purusha is the one who rules over all of these people. And Virata Purusha is the one who again comes in the form of Prakriti and Purusha, Shiva and Shakti. And Shiva and Shakti is represented by masculine and feminine. Masculine and feminine is again male and female. Male and female are the ones who again rule in the earthly. Get to understand the levels that a humanoid or human existence goes about, ladies and gentlemen. This is the complexity of Natya Shastra. That is the point. Now, and that is the first point. As I explained in the previous chapters about the swaras, which are 7 as mentioned. Thus, the swaras are contrary, are swaras. On contrary, the Saptarishis were able to create the swaras corresponding to the grahas respectively. These saptaswaras directly or indirectly give you that introduction to those planets, the seen planets. I'm not talking about the unseen planets over here. Now, for the Natya Brahma or Natya Sutradhara, had to create the connectivity of the human existence with the planetary system, moon, nakshatras, Surya, Chandra. There has to be some means or the purpose for the human existence. Thus, Kala Kala or Kala got divided into four yugas, which are Satya, Dwapara, Kali Yuga, and Treta Yuga, respective for this purpose. So they had to create that differentiation. So, which is known as a pure texts or the scriptures. There are Deva Yuga, which not only of us talk about, not all of us, talk about. This Deva Yuga is totally different again. This is where actually Saptarishis and Ashtavasus and Ashtalakshmis and Ashtadikpalakas and other, respective gods who are the rulers or the benefactors on this earthly existence were taking control over it, which is what one needs to understand. And thus, Natya Shastra or 108 Karnas get us connected to these people. Think about it. This is what is the practical importance and purpose of Natya Shastra or 108 Karnas to be introduced. However, Sura and Asura Bheda was existing during that time also. Suras are the one who are having positive thought process, Asuras were the one who are having negative thought process. These Saptarishis had to take this as a measure for human existence to follow the guidelines for the living standard. There has to be measure for living standards, right? For the human existence. So this is where actually it started. Because all the nakshatras, Chandras, Adityas, Yoga nakshatras, in reality emerged from these. This so-called human existence is more or less dependent on the very existence of these yoga nakshatras and nakshatras. If only these nakshatras, yoga nakshatras and astrological nakshatras, which are representing earthly existence, do not exist, there is nothing that human or humanoid or human existence can do. That is the point. Now, not only this, Saptarishis uh, had to take the climate, climate into the consideration though as well, environmental situations. The point is, these two form a part of factors and cofactors for the human existence by and large. Though here the seasons consideration need to be taken because the yoga nakshatras or nakshatras as per astronomy does really have the thing. They keep on changing every 4 months. That is the reason why 27 into 4, 108. If we see Nataraja Swarupa and Bharatanatyam Angaharas, pictographic representation, it gives us that reference, ladies and it's a very cryptic language though. This concept is like that of touch and go respect. When the Saptarishis were given the responsibility of creating the hand to hand or the subject going in parallel, though, it was a very easy job for them, considering these matrix or these factors in. So Natya Shastra and 108 Karnas is a very deeper subject by and large. One needs to go into the deeper aspect of it. But as the yugas, centuries, decades passed by, the humanoid or human existence came into being. If we deep dive and delve into the subject, the Saptaswaras, they are directly or indirectly related to the factors governing the human existence of this earthly existence. These 72 male karta ragas are the proof for that. If one says there are 72 male karta ragas, I don't agree. There are few more. These 72 male karta ragas were the ones which came out, which one needs to understand. These planets, which initially were recognized by the Saptarishis, who again, in return, look after 27 yoga nakshatras and 27 nakshatras as per astrology, which are main planets that govern those countless suns, countless stars, countless nakshatras, countless satellites, countless galaxies, countless constellations, which more or less talks about the karmic deeds. That is where everything is stored. These again rule over. So expanding every second. This universe is ever expansive, ladies and gentlemen. So now, if you see 108 Karnas, it talks about many factors and co-factors governing. Though, if one is able to understand 108 Karnas in all the forms of classical dance form, be it Mohiniyattam, be it Kathak, be it Bharatnatyam, be it Kuchipudi, be it any, you name it, would be able to understand the concept of existential elemental aspects by and large. Now, if you are thinking that story stops here, if one thinks that story is, stopping here, it further touches the karmic definition. In the sense, previous births, actions, acted. Then goes to much further, defining the very aspect of need and necessity of human existence in this ecosystem. See, understand the complexity that Natya Shastra or 108 Karnas is holding, ladies and gentlemen. Furthermore, these 108 Karnas talks about the intelligence levels too, in reference to Anu and Paramanu. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. The point is 108 Karnas are the codified language which needs to be decoded to get to the roots of the ancestors or pre-existed humanoids or human existence by and large. Now, this also gives the answer for Kasmai Devaya Havisha Dema. And the real Sanskrit is always based on the science of sound and science of vibration. See, having talked about this very aspect, ladies and gentlemen, don't you think that Natya Shastra text is such a very, like, encyclopedia for the understanding of human existence and human? And if one needs to do a research work, it's thorough, deep, and dive subject. Thus, the 108 Karnas are the very base and important subject from the objective viewpoint to be explored by and large by the classical dancer in detail. Saptarishis were well aware of the changes that were anticipated. Though we as humanoids or human existence, why are we not able to get to that level? Are we trying to explore the subject or are we trying to exploit the subject by just going at a subliminal level? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. So, changes takes place. Changes always takes place due to the planetary position. 9 primary planets. Now these 108 Karnas having different positions as per the angles. Though these angles can be seen in detail in Naraj Swarupa. All of this is like, talked about that by and large from Dvaita, Advaita, Dvaita, 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 Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, plus two. Ladies and gentlemen. This was already told. This was written in the scriptures form as prescribed by Shankaracharya. As Shankaracharya was talking about it. Now, here I need to talk about Nada Bindu Kala. What is this Nada Bindu Kala? Nada is sound. That sound that comes from the Bindu. Bindu is that what you call that space, vacant space. Which more or less talks about, like, emitting that energy source, energy. When this energy is collides with the that vibration, frequency is produced. And this is what is a practical phenomena of Natya Shastra or 108 Karma. And this is where actually, like, one really gets connected to that terrestrial existence. In a way, from the quantum quantum physicality point of view. And from the relativity theory point of view, Albert Einstein was actually like, looking at these aspects. Nicholas Tesla, he was also talking about the Vedas first. They have accepted the fact. In fact, in Germany, I think in Germany and in NASA, at NASA, they are deciphering every word, every alphabet of Vedas and Upanishads. And they are decoding that language also. So, how are we actually like, when we have a tool called a Natya Shastra or 108 Karnas, is this our what you call inability, or are we trying to ignore for the fact that we do not want to get into this subject itself? From the fine arts and culture viewpoint, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very hard point, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. And I know that Rome was not built in a day's time. It took some time. So there were papers, there are papers, there are white papers coming out now and then. Research scholars have been getting into the subject, but to this day, none of them really could get to the very level of subject of understanding if this is what actually Natya Shastra or not it Karnas. Or are we ignoring? That is the reason why I say we have archived, or we have just like closed all the texts and logged it. That's it. And we do not want to open it. Think about it, ladies. Thus, I conclude this video with a positive note. Stay blessed and have a real bliss. शांति 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 लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु. Stay blessed and have a real blissful life, and may the Guru's grace be. Have a nice day. Bye.